What up? Welcome to Homegrown Hustle, where local brilliance takes the center stage. I'm your host, Matt Eickman. Join us every week in celebrating innovation, guidance, and the power to inspire greatness. Let's explore the stories that shape our local business landscape, and together, let's ignite the spark of excellence.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Homegrown Hustle. I'm here with Brent Frederick. He is the founder of Jester Concepts. They've got a couple different restaurants around the Twin Cities. Been in the business for quite a few years. First of all, thanks for coming on here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you taking the time, and we're excited to talk a little bit about the restaurant business, learn a little bit about your story. So before we dive into all that, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Brent Frederick, founder of Jester Concepts. We own a hospitality company here in the Twin Cities. We own and manage restaurants like Burrow and Parlor and PS Steak, Butcher and the Boar, Starling and Edina, and Mirabelle and Shiki in Excelsior. We also have kind of a lineup of food trucks, and they include Parlor and a recently acquired business called Revival Fried Chicken that we bought over the summer. And then we also acquired a coffee bakery called Rustic last year. So opening our fourth location in Wayzata this November.
So how many total locations do you have then?
Yeah, I would say, so just like physical locations, we have 10 with Rustica, but then we also have 3 stadium locations as well on the concession side. So I guess you could say we're up to 13 that way.
13.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll dive into the business and where you're currently at in your business, but first I want to talk a little bit about your story and kind of how you got into the restaurant space in general. So take us back to the early days of restaurant experience.
So I was at the University of Minnesota as a sophomore, and I was living kind of on the northern end of campus and kind of near Como. And after a brief stint at the Target there in the quarry, I had a friend that was going to get a restaurant job. And I was like, oh, restaurants, that sounds interesting, but I just needed a job. So I went and applied, and I got hired to be a busser at a restaurant called Joe's Crab Shack in Roseville, Minnesota. Oh, yeah. And it was an amazing experience. I still have lifelong friends. Like 2 of my best friends in life were from that restaurant. And so 3 months as a busser, I got trained in as a server and, really loved the social aspect of it. I think I was I viewed myself as kind of a shy person, but to people that knew me, I was pretty outgoing. So it was kind of this weird dichotomy, but being a server, you get to meet people you've never met ever, and so you have to be on all the time, and it's a little bit of a show. And at Joe's Crab Shack, it is a show because every 45 minutes you have to stop what you're doing and you have to dance to a song that comes on over the PA system. I'm not kidding you. Like Love Shack would come over the speakers, the lights dim, and there's like a disco ball going, and we get up on chairs and we dance. So we all got to know each other.
Do you want to do the dance right now?
I'm not going to do the dance. You might see it at a wedding sometimes if we're all there, but it was a great experience. And then that kind of transitioned to becoming a barback at a nightclub downtown called Banana Joe's. I had some good friends that worked there. And then learned how to bartend at a jazz club called Sophia's on St. Anthony, Maine. So I was making old fashions and brandy Alexanders in 2003 before the old fashioned was cool again. The old fashioned had become cool again until 2010, 11. So, but we were making Wisconsin style, sugar packet, maraschino cherry and an orange slice, and we're muddling it. So
it's the fastest drink to make.
Yeah, right. So from then on, a few different spots. I was out at Lord Fletcher's for a summer, and then I got an opportunity to become a bartender downtown at a spot called Bella Notte. It's right across from the Target Center. Kevin Garnett, Timberwolves, they were doing really well. We made a lot of money, and I got to also meet a lot of lifelong friends there. And got to be a bar manager, actually, so I learned a little bit on the management side. I was 24, 25 years old. I was working for a smaller business, my dad's business, from Apple Valley, so I would I would kind
Is
of
that a restaurant? Or?
No, it was like a telecommunications distribution company, nothing related to restaurants, but it was a small business. You know, it wasn't a ton of sales, but I got to learn the ins and outs of actually like kind of doing everything yourself.
Yep.
Like if you want to market, you got to do it yourself in a small business. You know, you're handling your own finances. You're doing all your own sales calls. Like it was interesting.
So can we touch a little bit on that? So the restaurant scene is like there's different verticals within that, but the service and the customer interaction, there's a ton of it, right? So when it comes to this other role in this other company, like what are some of the big differences that were there? And for your personality, like what did you think?
You know what? There was still a big sales component. We relied heavily on relationships in my dad's business. So we would go to trade shows. We'd have to you're kind of on stage there, and you have to field questions. If anyone's done a trade show, like it's not easy, right? And you're on your feet all day. So there's a lot of similarities, believe it or not. So I made a lot of good relationships in that business. So they kind of crossed over a bit.
Well, with sales especially, it's so much communication and just being able to carry a conversation, right? And the only difference between selling food where there's a menu and like selling something else is you have to be able to keep them engaged.
Yes.
Right? People aren't coming in, sitting down, just order taking.
Right.
But the ability to communicate, I see it cross over. I know a few people in the pest control space that they're looking to hire people from the restaurant industry.
Interesting.
Because it's kind of going through some tougher times, right? But their ability to communicate does lend to communicating sales too.
There's a skill set you learn and I wouldn't say all restaurant jobs, but definitely customer facing, whether you're a server or even a food runner, a bartender, when you get to engage with guests, that's like a skill set. It doesn't surprise me that other industries want those types of people because I think I don't know if it's an underserved or it's the word I'm looking for is it's under the radar skill that people don't realize how important it can be. So I love that.
It's like the feelings behind the experience. Like the food could be amazing, everything could be perfect, but if that interaction with whoever is taking the order, bringing your food isn't primo, now that can cause some problems, right? So when did you decide, like take me to the moment where you're like, I'm going to do this myself? Because it sounds like you have like experience across the board all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in my mid-20s and I don't know what I want to do, right? I have no clue. And I'm sure like a lot of, mid-20-year-olds and even some mid-30-year-olds, who knows? But I knew that I got an opportunity and I took it. And I was 27 years old and I was working for a real estate firm trying to get my real estate license. I was a horrible realtor, by the way. Sales, but it's a whole different type of sales. And so the owner of the real estate company, we were out one day and he's like, see that building over there? And it was the old Campiello building on Lake Street in Uptown. And he's like, the tenants aren't going to renew. He's like, do you know, you're in the restaurant industry. He knew I was bartending. I think at the time I was at Chambers Hotel downtown. And he's like, do you know anyone that wants to take over the lease and do a restaurant? And I was like, dude, I'll do it. And he just looked at me. He goes, you don't know what you're doing. He's like, you know how to bartend, but he's like, I can't give this lease to you. And he's like, oh yeah, he's got a good point. So I'm like, well, let me have a shot at it. So I grabbed a friend who was kind of a partner up until a few years ago, until the pandemic hit. And then we went and looked for someone who knew what they were doing. And we partnered up with them. And ultimately we kind of got the restaurant up and running. It was called Cowboy Slims. It was opened in 2009 and it was kind of housing crisis era, but people still wanted to go out and party.
What did you learn in the first 12 months of starting up your own restaurant? Like what were the differences in your day-to-day that you noticed?
Yeah, I would say that it was way harder than I thought. I mean, my partner and I only owned 20% of this company, but we were working both 5 days a week. And this whole idea of like the permits and the construction and dealing with different vendors, and that was just to get it up and running. And I was like, oh my God, there's such a huge lift on that initial part. That blew my mind. I was like, I kind of like this. And I had architecture background from University of Minnesota, and I was like, I kind of like, I didn't get to do a lot of it because the partners really love to do that, the majority partners. But I watched and I was like, God, I think I could be good at that. So that's kind of when I learned, like, I think I could do this on our own. And so we ended up doing that a couple of years after and created a kind of a neighborhood restaurant called the Maple Tavern in Maple Grove, kind of near where my partner lived.
So when you're going about selecting a place to start a restaurant, like, what's the thought process behind that? Because obviously location,
sure,
right? And you've got quite a few locations. Could you walk me through kind of how you think about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think location is important. There's like two kind of trains of thoughts in the restaurant ownership world. You have the restaurant groups that will only buy their locations, like buy their real estate. So that's a strategy where you can obviously own your own destiny, be your own landlord, build equity, because everyone says you don't make money in the restaurants, you make money in the restaurant real estate, which can be true. Yeah, the whole McDonald's idea, which can be true. But the problem is that if you want the best locations, and for a period of time, it was in Minneapolis, it was in North Loop, it was in Northeast, it was in South Minneapolis, downtown, you don't have the opportunity to buy 20, 30, 40, $50 million buildings. Like, some of the good real estate you have to lease. So we started out leasing, and we had really good locations, and we did make money off of leases, and we didn't own the real estate. Now, some people won't touch that type of model. We did. And the other model is you can do that in the suburbs. So I would say that suburbs are actually becoming a little bit more attractive now with kind of what happened with COVID and everything that happened in the last 5 years. We're now looking out into the suburbs, potentially looking for real estate deals as well.
So like, how come there's these two trains of thought, and one of the trains doesn't want to approach the concept that you're doing? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, are the margins that thin? Like, that you have to get it in the real estate? Or
we've been doing this now for 17 years, and I would say, and we have a lot of friends that have done the real estate kind of portfolio idea, and I think it's a good way to build a long-term kind of future. Restaurants can be very hot one minute and very cool or cold the next minute. I mean, you have to stay on top of it every single day, otherwise you could lose customers. So it's very fickle. It can turn quickly, and so that there's a lot of different strategies. So if you can have a good management at all your stores, then you can sustain. Like, our oldest restaurant is Burrow and Parlor. It's been there since 2012, so we're on 13 years right now. There are some restaurants that have been around 20 or 30 years, but you see there's a lot of them that close after a few years. In our mind, if you have one and you can be there and good at it, you can build something successful. But if you try and scale, you get caught up in that second or third restaurant, and back to you own your own business. So you're the one doing the marketing, you're the one doing the finance, you're the one kind of doing everything. You will get stretched way too thin if you try and do 2 and 3 restaurants. So you kind of have to start building a team. Once you get to 2 and 3, start hiring some more overhead.
And is that somebody that, like, is that something that you had to learn the hard way, or did the investors and partners you brought in kind of have some of that?
I would say it's the hard way,
Let's talk about the hard
Yeah.
Like, what was there, like, a moment where you're like, I need more than just me?
I think a lot of the aha moments came with our second restaurant under Jester. So Burrow and Parlor was kind of when we launched the name. We did have 3 kind of bar and grills before, like we formed Jester, but with Jester it was Burrow and Parlor, and then we launched a restaurant in Uptown called Kudata, and that's when we kind of had the moment a little bit that things aren't easy. We had 4 successes in a row. Cowboy Slims, Maple Tavern, Powerhouse. Again, those 3 were more like party bars in our late 20s. That's kind of what we gravitated towards. Then we saw kind of more of a food and craft cocktail like avenue. Top Chef was becoming big. 112 had just opened. Butcher and the Boar had just opened. And we're starting to see all this. We're like, oh, we got to get on this train. So when Kudata hit, and successful for like 4 months, and then people the community didn't jive with it. The menu in the neighborhood clashed. Parking was a challenge, and that's when we realized that it can't just be us making all these decisions. So we fought through that. We worked with the bank. We worked with the landlord. We subleased the space, and then we pushed through, and we kept on opening stores because we knew we needed more scale to get more efficiency, because we plotted it out, and we said, all right, if we have this amount of sales, we can afford this person to oversee the culinary program. We can afford this person to oversee the financial aspects of it. So we made a decision on that second one that we knew we were probably not going to make a lot of money, but we just had to get through.
So how's your overall org structure look then within Jester? Because you've got a bunch of different concepts going on.
Yeah.
I assume that the manager from this restaurant isn't getting a lot of input over here on this restaurant, right?
Yeah. So we have separate management for each restaurant concept, but then we have a bit of a corporate overhead too. So we've got a great facilities person. We have a great hospitality team where they will go and oversee the restaurant management on the front of the house, the general manager side of things. Then we have several people in the culinary department that make sure quality control on the food side at all the restaurants as well. Then we've got marketing and graphics. We have private events person, and we have a finance person. Then we have 2 HR. So we've got a collection of like 15 people just to help kind of give resources to all the restaurants. So if they need something on the payroll side, or if they have a question on our POS system, like they have a resource.
They're not doing it there internally at the location.
They can, but if they have questions, like we're there to help. So making sure that we've got visibility. We do one-on-ones with them typically every week. They have a store meeting. We have an overhead meeting where we look at the financials for all the stores. If we notice labor's up, like, okay, let's go chat with them, see what's going on. We know sales are down for over a period of time versus last year. So it's about data at the end of the day. So
it's always about data.
It's about data.
Right? So when it comes to the sales at a restaurant, there's not like a sales team in a restaurant, right? Isn't it like marketing and branding that brings it all in?
Yeah, it's completely different than like, we're not a B2B where we can like go out and get a contract or business. Like our marketing arm is graphics through social media. It's email marketing, and it's really like repeat business from getting someone in. A lot of PR is helpful too, so we can get into a newspaper. That's visibility for us as well. So it's a different strategy and a different model. But we've got marketing efforts here and there through different channels.
So what are the things in the different stores that drive sales then? Because like if you're seeing sales are down, is that a byproduct of like the economic situation, the time of year? Like,
this might not be a popular answer, but we have been through COVID. We've been through the housing crisis. We've been through all different kinds of presidents, inflation, economic turmoil. People still go out to eat. So at the end of the day, we're not tracking like the major economic indicators like that. I mean, we keep an eye on it, but I would say that some of our most successful times have been in the toughest times economically, but people actually go out to kind of forget a little bit about the tough times they're going through. They use restaurants as a way to forget about some things for a while that are kind of going on. So, and we saw that in the 2008, 2009 kind of housing crisis. I mean, we were never busier in the restaurant that we had open. So
it's like this financial crisis, yet the spend at restaurants, which you'd think would be one of the things that people kind of cut out.
You would think. I mean, I haven't seen it. Like everyone's like, our sales down. I'm like, our sales are up this year, and some of them are double digit. Now it wasn't like that last year, so you can't say that they're up every year. But I think as long as you continue to just get better and improve. If our sales are down, I look internally. It means that we're doing something wrong. That means that the guest isn't being taken care of, or the food's not coming out hot or on time, or the drinks are taking too long. I think that's more of the factor than any external. It's way more internal that we look at.
Well, that's good. So do you coach that and teach that to your team and everyone that's helping you? Nice.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
We talk about that all the time. I mean, we don't sit there and talk about, what's going on with the tariffs and what's going on with that's not something that we focus on a lot internally. We really just focus on how do we be the best that we can be.
Customer experience.
Yeah, because the restaurant industry is not perfect. You can never get it right every single time. I mean, you're going to get a bad review. Yeah. You just will.
How do you talk to your team about that? Because inevitably something's going to go wrong with all the moving parts, right? So how do you make sure that if and when that does happen, that it doesn't impact that team members rest of the day?
Yeah, I think we take the approach from kind of a Jester side of things. Now that message has to get cascaded correctly through all the departments, but our approach is mistakes are going to happen as long as you learn from them and move forward. That's all we care about. I rarely care unless it's egregious and awful and it was intentional, then that's different. That person can't be a team member anymore. But if they made a mistake, that's okay. I've been there. I've made plenty of mistakes being a bartender or server. But as long as that they understand that they did make a mistake, have accountability, own up to it. And accountability is one of our core values. So that's kind of important. We hit home on those core values a lot. Humility is another core value. Understanding that maybe they don't know everything and their ability to learn something new. Teachability, which is another core value of ours. So we use our core values as kind of teaching moments when we see a bad review. That's the overarching summary. Does that get to the server, the bartender every single time? No, and we need to do a better job of that. But we don't have an iron fist. We all grew up in this industry. We know how we want to be talked to, and I think we're really respectful when it comes to our staff because we are them. We were them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit of what the restaurant scene's like going into holiday season. Are there big menu shifts and all that, all the gala planning and things like that, or?
You try not to do too much with the menu going in, but we transform all of our decor to something more holiday and festive. People really love that. That drives sales. You'll see a lot of the Christmas style restaurants, right? And they deck it out. Those spots are busy. It's crazy. People just want to be around that decor. So that's one of them. We try not to focus on too much menu shift because that will distract from our staff. And it also takes time to learn that new dish. And so it might not be ready for what we call our Super Bowl. Starts right around now. This is when the holiday season starts for us.
That's the Super Bowl?
This is the Super Bowl right now. Okay. November, December are our Super Bowl. December is really the Super Bowl, but November it starts. We have holiday parties. We have corporate parties. People are dining out more. This is our Q4 is our busiest quarter by far.
So how do you prep for the Super Bowl then? Any tips or tricks you'd give to other restaurant tours out there to get ready for
I think Super Bowl? Just be ready. Be prepared. I mean, I don't want to use the sports analogy here, but we're using with the Super Bowl. I would say just be ready, be prepared, like you would on a football team. You have to study the playbook, make sure that you're ready for a very busy season. And if you can hit that out of the park, they might come back in January and February. Every restaurant has a core group of customers, but in the holidays, people are trying different restaurants just to try it out. They're going with a friend that really likes it, or they heard about it in the paper. This is your one chance to make a good first impression. So be ready. Yeah.
So did you have to learn anything about fourth quarter the hard way in your early years?
I mean,
how'd you build the playbook that you got now?
I think I don't know if we have necessarily a playbook. It's more of a frame of mind. It's more of a mindset. We do talk about financially Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. We don't do the best job either. We need to get a little out in advance. Halloween, nobody goes downtown North Loop for Halloween. Our sales drop in half, right? So should we be saying that the day of? Oh, by the way, GM, don't staff too much for Halloween. We got to get them that information in a few weeks. And I think that relies solely on us. We have to give them the information to make sure that that's our job as a coach. They're kind of the players. We're kind of the coach a little bit. We're on this football mindset. I don't know how we got onto it, but
you said Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
So with data then, so what type of data points. You were talking about the things that you might look for that are like red flags at the different stores, right? Sales volume, things like that. I mean, I've been a sandwich artist in the past at Subway and a little bit of serving experience, but nowhere near the experience you have. I've watched a lot of bar rescue, though.
Yeah, so you're a pro.
Yes, technically, if that's where the certification comes from. But the turning of tables and like the speed of it, like when you're busy like that, how are you managing like the time that's spent there and like maximizing the potential revenue you can bring in, right? Because there's so many factors that go into what the potential outcome is for the sales.
Yeah. So with that specifically, we really look at our reservation system to help us with that. So we can adjust turn times in our reservation system. And when we plot out a night, we can not only move tables around, but we can also know that a 2-top is going to be less time than a 4-top, right? A 6-top is going to be even more time. So we have to kind of allow for the settings when it gets a little busier to have maybe 3 turns versus 2 turns. So in a slower time of year, maybe you only go to 1 turn. Everyone wants to eat at 7 o'clock. No one wants to come in at 5, and no one wants to come in at 9. Everyone wants to come in at 7. But in a busy time, if 7 o'clock gets filled up, will people dine at 5 and 9? Yes. In the holiday season, they actually will. But in a slower season, maybe we do a 6 and an 8 to get it. 8's not too far from 7. Yeah, I can probably do that. I can pivot my schedule. Same with 6. I can go a little early. It's hard to just get everyone in at 7. It's really about pacing people, and the kitchen can't take 100 people all at once. So it's really kind of layering people in, and then our staff has to kind of like adjust for that too. A server can't take 4 tables all at once. Like that, they have to be layered in.
How many tables can a server take?
I mean, in a perfect world, 4 is a really nice amount. It gets the server the time and the attention. And I would say at like our steakhouse, that's more common, 4 or 5. But on some occasions, like you might have up to 6 or 7, just depending on labor and sales. Like you mentioned earlier, the data that we use. So we look every week at the previous week, and we look at the cost of goods and we look at the labor percentage. So you've got 100,000 in sales. If you had $25,000 in labor, that's 25% labor. And if your cost of goods was 20,000, that's alcohol and that's food. That's specifically those two. If you can control those 2 figures, you have a chance at having a successful restaurant. That's really the most important. Sales is going to kind of be what it is for a time. You can use marketing dollars to get that up, and that's great.
Well, it takes time.
It takes time to build the brand, but then you need to have systems for controlling cost of goods and controlling labor. It can't be a shoot from the hip.
It's one of my favorite words.
Systems. Yeah, systems are
let's talk about
big.
the systems.
Yeah.
How'd you build them?
Over time. Oh, yeah, we've got systems for the culinary department for doing menu changes. We have systems on the HR front for training and hiring. There's systems galore. Creating the systems is actually the easy part. The using them and executing them properly and getting everyone to remember that they're there, that's the hard part. That's the hard part. Is how can you get the systems to be top of mind to our management to make sure, because we built them for a reason, because it allows us to be successful. But there's a lot to remember, and there's a lot going on in the restaurant, and everyone's being pulled different ways, and there's emergencies, and people calling in sick and calling out, and management has to go and fill in. They all get pulled in a lot of ways.
What's like the newest system that you've created in your businesses?
I mean, we're always tweaking our financials, the way we look at financials, the data that we want to see. The financial system is one of the most important, because it shows us what's going right and what's not going right. And that we start with that. Always start with the data. Yeah.
Is there a scenario you could call out where you had to course correct something that was like a big problem?
Man, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I was telling you earlier, like we have problems every day, and that's the fun part. It's kind of instant gratification a little bit. Like if you can solve a problem today, you feel good about yourself, and you can go to bed and sleep the whole night. But we're just constantly improving every day. I mean, there's no one thing I can probably point to, but we are tweaking things almost every day. Any good company should be looking at improving every day and tweaking.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So what's the future look like? You got a bunch of concepts. I know the restaurants in Excelsior are some of the newer ones that you have, right?
Yep. We're going to continue to grow the Rustica brand as much as we can. We are looking into other suburbs for the Rustica brand. We're in South Minneapolis right now. We're in Edina right now, and we opened up on Washington in downtown, little kiosk there, and then we're opening up in Wayzata this month. So we're going to continue to look in the suburbs for Rustica. We acquired the Revival brand over the summer, so we're going to continue to look for a location for that, depending on the business climate. I think that's really an issue, whether it's Minneapolis or is it out of Minneapolis. So we're keeping an eye on things there on the business climate. It's small business is not exactly at the forefront all the time with some of the leaders in St. Paul. And they've definitely used our industry, it feels like, as a punching bag, to be very honest, the challenges that we face. And I wish that maybe some of them paid a little bit more attention to the problems and the challenges we have. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So suburbs.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite suburb that you've started up? Like what's like the favorite one that you're looking for if you had to say this area?
Yeah, I don't know if we have a favorite one. Like I'm live in Edina. We have one in Edina. We have a Rustica in Edina. We have Starling, which is one of our newer restaurants there as well.
What about the concepts that are like restaurants on the bottom and like the condos above? Do you guys have anything like that?
Yeah, actually a lot of them.
And does that impact do you see differences in volume or?
I don't think it impacts it greatly.
Okay.
I think sometimes brokers try and sell it as like a built-in customer base, but there's 100 people maybe at max, and they come down maybe once a week. I mean, it's not saying it's nothing, but honestly, what I've learned the most is you have to have parking. Parking in the suburbs is a huge deal. And
how did you learn that?
We learned it at our location in Edina, actually. We had 30 stalls, thought that would be great. But I found out that people drive separately and they all have a parking stall. They're coming from different spots. So families usually drive together, which is great. But if you're meeting a friend or another couple, you're going to be driving separately. So having enough parking is super big. And so we learned that in Edina. I think we corrected it in Excelsior, where I made sure that there was a parking lot in the back that was being built, and there was 250 stalls. And there was like a measure on the Excelsior ballot at one point for it to be metered parking or free parking. And then I was like, I'm not signing the lease until I know that that's free parking. It ended up being free parking, and then we signed the lease. So parking's big in the suburbs. Downtown, people are okay with that.
Well, it's like more foot traffic, right?
Foot traffic, or you're Ubering, or you valet, and valet's, I think valet is more, you get more accustomed to it and you're okay to pay it. But in the suburbs, having valet is interesting.
A parking lot behind the restaurant.
Yeah, you got to have a parking lot. So that's the thing we've learned the most. But I'm from the south suburbs, in Apple Valley, Eagan area. So I'm there still a lot. I live on the west side. I'm out there a lot. But I also love like the east side and Stillwater, Woodbury, and White Bear Lake. So I mean, we don't have a favorite area.
For sure. Well, and Wayzata right now, I know there's a lot of new things coming in there. They've developed downtown a crazy amount. You said you're either just started one there or you're about to open?
So yeah, we're in the final stages of building out Rustica Wayzata there.
Open date?
Yeah, we're kind of looking for the third week of November.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of in the 20s. It should have a 2 in it. Yeah. So hopefully they'll open on time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's hard to open up restaurants on time.
So what goes into the opening a rest? Because that first day, you've been doing all these things, like new plates, new construction, new all these different things. So what?
Yeah.
That's like a whole ordeal.
You can have a great plan going into it, but I mean, I've taken copious amounts of notes every time there's been an opening, and it's just like, we need this storage now, or we forgot this. It's too loud in here now. We need acoustical panels. Like, we are just constantly trying to improve and writing down tons of notes. So for Rustica YZ, like the space is going to look good. We're going to have the product. We are doing something different on the savory menu, meaning like more breakfast items, more lunch items, more prepared food. We have a larger kitchen there. And so we know that that's probably going to be a challenge, right?
And where's it located?
There's a bar called the Muni. It's kind of city owned. And so we kind of share a parking lot with them. So we're right by Crisp and Green, right as you kind of come down.
Parking ramp there too.
Great
right?
big parking ramp and a lot of parking. Yeah. So we're excited for that one. But yeah, we know that there's something going to go wrong, but we know that we just got to make sure we treat the guest the appropriate way, make sure we're smiling, and we just need to build a customer base or they want to keep coming back.
Is there anything else you want to kind of hit on? Any big things for any of the locations that you have here? I know we're getting close to time. I want to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I was actually just reaching out to my marketing director asking like what we get coming up. So hot off the press. So our Rustica, we're kind of doing some pre-orders for Thanksgiving. So if someone wants like a pumpkin tart or any types of breads, cookies, potato rolls, strudels, you can order those kind of ahead of time for their Thanksgiving feast. And then Starling, we're doing for Thanksgiving on that day specifically, we've got a bosa, which is kind of like a Korean kind of pork dish.
And where's that?
And the Starling is in Edina.
Okay.
Yeah, right off of 150th. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So as far as social media or any type of getting in contact with you, what's the best way for somebody to reach out and get in contact with you?
With me, like specifically me?
Just shoot you a text. No,
yeah, right.
Like
just give everyone my cell phone.
Like if they're looking for connecting on an event or anything like that, like how do you want to do it?
I think the best way on our website, there's an info at jesterconcepts.com, and that gets funneled into our corporate team. So any director can see it. So if it's specifically for, an event, it'll go to our events people. If it's specifically for me, it'll come to me. So we have someone who kind of internally transfers that to us. So,
well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here. I mean, we got last minute call outs if there's anything you want to call out in addition. Otherwise, I just got one last question we ask every guest.
Okay.
So, I mean, you've done a lot and you're still doing a lot, right? And the name of our podcast is Homegrown Hustle.
Right.
So when I'm hearing your story, I'm hearing a ton of hustle. So could you tell me what hustle means to you when it comes to business?
Yeah, I think not resting on your laurels and having a drive and a passion for what you do. I spoke to a group of kids recently, and it was like, it doesn't matter like what business you own. It just matters like, are you passionate about it? And that will allow you to get up every morning and be happy and go to work. I'm sure I could have made more money as like a banker or financial like analyst or something, hedge fund, whatever, but find something that you love and then it's not work. Yeah. I know you've probably heard this before, but it's true. It's not work when you love it.
For sure.
And
that's how I feel every day. And like you're building a massive team, like seeing people grow within your company and you're giving opportunities and creating a ton of jobs for the economy. Like that's like, we need jobs. Like people need jobs. You don't have jobs, then that like messes everything up. Yeah. And we're so proud to be offering the amount of jobs. So we employ almost 500 people. That's awesome. That's a crew.
That's a crew.
Like that's a lot of human beings. So,
and some of them are hourly and some of them are part-time. Some of them go to school, and that's the nature of our industry. It's very transient. We can be a stepping stone for people wanting to do other things, and that's okay. I was that way as well. I was going to school and I was serving. We love it, and we love the people that work with us. I love everyone in this industry. Other restaurant owners, they're fantastic. We talk all the time. It's a really tight community.
Like, how's that community get cultivated? Is it just over time, or is it like small world type of thing?
COVID brought us together.
Really?
Oh yeah. I would say.
Tell me about that a little bit.
I would say that I have 40 new best friends that I never had before, and David Benowitz, who owns Craft and Crew, that's like Duke's on 7 and The Block. They have a bunch too. So we're peers. We co-founded a restaurant group that we just get together once a month and talk about our challenges because it's challenging. And it's been so helpful just to know that, we've got groups in there that own 10 locations, right? But then we've got some that own one. You know, Finnish Bistro, which is right up the street here. Sandra, she's there every single month at the meeting. She loves what she does, and she's always coming in with new ideas. But then she also needs some help too, and love to be there to provide that. And it's an awesome community. Love it.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, we can dive into community, but I think we got to be wrapping up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the Homegrown Hustle here. Really appreciate your time. There's no reason you can't visit one of the restaurants if you're in Minnesota that Brent has. Jester Concepts, didn't even touch on the name and where that all came from, but all the different unique opportunities you have for food, like my mouth started watering a little bit there. So Brent, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate all the likes, follows, things like that. Any questions you have, really appreciate you sending those in. Till our next one, keep hustling. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Homegrown Hustle. It's been an honor to share the stories of local legends who make our community thrive. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Please stay tuned for more insight and inspiration. We got a lot of heat in the chamber. This is Matthew Eickman saying peace out until next time. Get hustling.